Keen Nation, what's going on, man? It's your boy Manuel Keen, and tonight, man, you see it in the title, I will be teaching you guys how to clean up those muddy vocals, man. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, fade that like button. We a movement, boy. Let's get it. Alright, Key Nation, man, so you guys see what I got up here. This project is called Box Me In. Well, the single is called Box Me In. It is by a loyal client that I have by the name of Lenny P. I will put the description below if you guys want to hear it. I'm going to show you guys exactly the before and the after and what exactly muddy vocals is. So before we get into that, let me explain to you guys how muddy vocals occurs. Usually when you're in a small room, you have a lot of low frequency buildup, and that's because the room is so small. So you have a lot of low frequency buildup, and you just have a lot of these, you know, waveforms around 30 hertz to 60, 90 hertz, just building up in these corners, and they're so small they just reflect off of each other, and it just becomes a whole big blotch of muddiness, essentially. So that's where you get muddy vocals, and that's where they come from. Now, if you don't have your room treated, you got to do things in the box, ergo what you see right here, in order to make a clean vocal. Now, the better the room is and the more treated the room is, the less you'll have to do when it comes down to the box. And if you're not a very experienced engineer and you don't necessarily know what to do, your mix is going to be terrible, okay? It's going to be really bad, all right? So thank God that I know exactly what I'm doing. So that's a quick basis of what muddy vocals are. And I know that this is a problem because I've had engineers hit me up and say, yo, how do you get your vocals so clear, clean, and crispy? And it actually took me a minute, you know, I'm not gonna lie. It really did take me a minute. I had to learn what I could do, what I can add, and how things work specifically. And without further ado, this is what you have right here. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Make sure y'all subscribe if y'all definitely like what y'all see. And yeah, let's get it. So I will play you guys the before and the after, and then we're gonna go exactly through this audio chain. Keep in mind, this is not my audio chain that I apply for all vocals, okay? This is what I applied specifically for this because it needed it, okay? So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm gonna show you guys what it sounds like before and after.
I feel like she talk too much, baby got a slit tongue. Why you wanna play with me? You know I'm the big don, Lenny P. When you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me.
Okay, so that is the vocal before all of the effects. We will play it after, and now you will hear the difference.
Lenny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me.
Ain't that a significant difference, bro? That's a significant difference. Oh my gosh, kid, how you do that? How you do that? You really made him sound like a hoe. You really coated his audio signal with melted butter. How you did that? I'm a chef, bro. I cook it up. I cook it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm a chef, bro. So we will go ahead and go through this whole audio chain. Now, please keep in mind, because I have definitely done this before, especially looking at tutorials. Please keep in mind, this was coded specifically for excuse me, look at me saying, because I said butter before, so I'm using cutted. This was catered specifically to this instrumental, this song, and how everything worked. So this is why I'm using this audio chain, okay? Do not take this audio chain verbatim and say, okay, he's using a fab filter here, he's using a multi-band compressor here, he's using this here, he's using that there. Don't do that, okay? Do not do that. Do your own thing, especially when it comes down to beats. And you know, every beat is different. The low end might be different, the high end might be different. As far as the mid frequencies, where you have emphasis in those, you might have to do some multi-band in a specific frequency. Otherwise, you know, like, there's just certain things that you can do that you don't have to do specifically when it comes down to this audio chain. Okay, so that is also a rule of thumb that I have to tell you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it, right? We will start from the front, okay? From the jump. Now we have this audio EQ right here. Now this is just a little cleaning up of what we got here. We got some cleaning up of some frequencies. I actually cleaned it up more than what I needed to, okay? It was necessary. It was necessary, man. I don't really like to go past, to be honest, I don't really like to go past like 100 hertz if I'm dialing out any low end. I don't really like to go past it, but I needed to do this, okay? I definitely needed to do this. And so that's what you guys have here. I have it going. I think it was at 154 if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to like change it. But I have it going to 154 hertz right here. Just scooping out all of that low end and all of that muddiness. And so, you can get a clear vocal. And I also took out some mid frequencies as well because some of those artifacts kind of, seeped into the mid frequency range. So I kind of took in those out as well. And I boosted at 2000 hertz as well as 6000. Just to add some airiness and some brightness to the vocal. So I will play a before and after with that.
Benny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me. I cannot be stopped.
So you guys see already right there. Now this is just a basis, all right? This is just a foundation on what I did, okay? I needed to make sure that I scooped that low end out and I added some airiness. We're just setting a foundation on the EQ, right? So that's exactly what we did. Now let's go ahead and get into the fat filter. Now, with this artist vocal specifically, I don't necessarily like to use the fat filter because for whatever reason, whenever I apply this compressor to his vocals, you really get that room noise. But it worked for this vocal specifically, and that's because I believe I used some reverb to kind of, blend out that room noise that happened towards the end of the vocal. But it worked for this one, so I went ahead and applied the compression to go ahead and, because you can see this is a very dynamic vocal. So what do we do with compression, and what does compression do? Compression takes those lows, boosts them up, and takes those peaks and squashes them so that you have an even vocal when it comes down to it. So that's what I did with this.
Benny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me. I cannot be stopped.
So I went ahead and did that, and you see the threshold, -27, went at about a 4-to-3 ratio, relatively fast attack, and kind of mid-release, and actually lowered the gain a little bit here. Don't know why I did that, but I did. So that's exactly what I did, just to, apply some compression. Y'all know how that go. And I went ahead and de-essed it. I didn't de-ess it that much, which is wild because I usually de-ess. But I guess I didn't de-ess it that much, and so that's what I did with that.
Benny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade you got cut, don't try to mend with me.
So I believe he has a dynamic microphone as well. And those S's really aren't as prominent in the dynamic microphone that he has. I remember I told him he needs to try to like tame those P's. Whenever you deal with the dynamic microphone, you hear those P's a lot. You hear those P's a lot. Now, if you have a condenser with a pop filter in front of there, you ain't really gonna hear that. But when you dealing with a dynamic microphone, you hear those, man, excuse, like y'all gotta cover your headphones, but I'm finna do it. Okay? You hear that, which is why when you're in arenas and people are giving speeches, you hear those plosives in that microphone because it's a dynamic microphone and it picks up those plosives, that puh. You know what I'm saying? So for whatever reason, that is what you hear in this vocal. So I had to make sure I scoop. This is also part of the reason why I scooped some of that low end out as well, because that's where those plosives lie. So there's that fun fact, right? Okay, so went ahead and added some multiband compression because it was definitely needed. So let me go ahead and play it and show you guys the before and after.
Lenny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me.
Y'all
I
heard those
cannot be
plosives?
stopped, you cannot knock off my top. I will Lenny P, when you with my field, no.
So I went ahead and added this multi-band compression, this C4 by Waves, and you see I squashed the absolute mess out of the low end right here. As you guys can see, I squashed the mess of it. The threshold is all the way down here. The reason being is because it's muddy, man. It is so muddy, and we can't have that. Okay, we could not have this muddiness in the vocal. I'm telling you, and it might look extreme now, but it's needed. It's extremely needed. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, King, that's cool, but it sounds thin. I know it sounds thin. And this is, once you get experience and you learn this, you know that you start to get a better understanding of what plugins do and how the characteristics that they add and the color and the fullness and the thickness that plugins have as you gain experience adding plugins. So I knew that after applying this multi-band compression that it was going to sound thin. So what I did was I was like, okay, let me go ahead and apply this compression afterwards, right? And I went ahead and double compressed it and added another compression afterwards with this R comp right here, and put the gain up, as you can clearly see, just so that we can have that presence. We want to make sure that that vocal stands out in the mix and that the beat isn't overpowering it, because if I don't add that, the vocal is going to be underlying for the instrumental. So I'm gonna show you what this does.
When you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me.
You see that? So that's exactly why I added that. And so now when I added that, you got that thickness, right? You've got that presence. You've got exactly what we were looking for in terms of the vocal standing on top of the beat. When I added that, I know that it sounded thin at first, but it didn't after I added that R comp, right? So that's what we got right there. Now, this Pro Q right here. I added this Pro Q, and I added a subtle difference here at 200 hertz right here as far as the cut, and also cut at 2K as well, because there was a nagging frequency, and as I said before, once you get experience, you hear these things, man. There was a nagging frequency that I heard within that vocal. So what I did was I added this Pro Q. And I added the Pro Q at, I believe, 10, 11 dB. And what I do is I'll sweep across, and I kind of just messed it up right here, but you get the point. I'll sweep across to hear a nagging frequency, and then I will bring it right back to where it was. So I know it was at 2300 if I'm not mistaken.
When you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones.
It was around there, but that's exactly what I did. I heard a nagging frequency, and so I added that, and so I will show you what it sounds like before and after.
Lenny P, when you with my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me. I cannot be stopped, you cannot knock off my top.
You can, all right, so for those who can hear it, you heard it, right? But you can really hear that nagging frequency. When there's nagging frequencies in there that you just got to cut out, that's it right there, man. So that's what I did with the Pro Q2. And it also kind of helped a little bit with the muddiness as well. We're not really aiming it, we're not really completely aiming it at the muddiness, but it definitely does help. So now this is the pièce de résistance right here, okay? The multi-band compression, I went ahead and added it. I knew that I needed to do this, okay? This is what makes all of the difference within this vocal, and I'm going to show you how it does that. I went ahead and I targeted a specific frequency range, put the range right here and the threshold and said, okay, this is what needs to happen. Okay, this is exactly what needs to happen. And so I went ahead and did that negative 28 dB, and this is what makes the vocal clean, clear, and crispy. This is what did it.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me. I cannot be stopped, you cannot knock off my top. I will Lenny P, when you in my field.
That is what did it. Now let me play the before and after.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you.
Do you see the difference in that? Do you see the difference in that? This is what brought it over the top right here, this multi-band compression. This is what brought it over the top. Now we have a nice, clean, cut, concise vocal on top of the beat, and it sounds absolutely amazing. This is what sealed it right here. So now we've got rid of the muddiness, right? We got rid of that muddiness, man. And then what I did is I went ahead and added a little bit of saturation to add some airiness to it.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me.
So I added some airiness right here, just to airiness, saturation, which in turn created airiness, just so that we can have some bright vocals towards the end there. And then what I did was I went ahead and made it and sent the main vocal to a send for these 3 buses here. And I went ahead and added some width, which is this stereo imager right here, just to make the vocal sound a lot more thick, and I want the vocal to fill the headphones, right? So I went ahead and added that. We'll go ahead and play it before and after.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me.
Something subtle, right? It's something subtle, but it definitely does work for the vocal, right? It definitely does work for the vocal. And let me just say this: when it comes down to vocals, the subtle differences really make all of the difference. If you don't do big changes, now granted this was a very muddy vocal, so I needed to you know, exaggerate some of these things as far as the plugins are concerned, but for the most part, when you add little subtle differences, that's what makes the vocal holistically sound professional. So always keep that in mind. And as far as the vocal itself, I went ahead and added some reverb for a little bit more width and for it to sound a little bit more spacious, so you can have a more accurate representation of the stereo image within the vocal.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me.
Again, something subtle, but it works, right? And then I went ahead and added the pièce de résistance, the delay.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me.
And so what's up, my homeboy hitting me up right now. I'm doing a video. My phone. Okay. And so there is that. And so that's what you got, man. That is how you fix muddy vocals, and this is the chain for those muddy vocals, and we actually get ready to go into 19 minutes. I didn't know this video was gonna be that long, but that's what you got, man. So let me go ahead and play a quick before and after so that you guys see exactly what I did, and this is how you do it, man.
Benny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me. Secretly my enemy, plotting on how you ended me. I cannot be stopped, you cannot knock off my top. I will Lenny P, when you in my field, no defending me. Throwing all that shade, you got cut, don't try to mend with me. Whole lot of day ones, don't try to be friends with me.
I'm telling you, man, I do this, man. I'm a genius. I'm a genius, man. So if you want any of your stuff mixed, man, please hit me up in the DMs. Y'all see my Instagram down there in the description, or if you want to email it to me, please do. I do mixing and mastering services as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like it, share with everybody that you know that's trying to become a better engineer. And just hit me up, man. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Gang.